Hello, my name is Conor Mulholland and I'm delighted today to present on the topic of a career in mechanical engineering. My presentation today will give a little overview of my career so far as a mechanical engineer in the industry and hopefully inspire a new generation to get into mechanical engineering. So my presentation today will include the following. So I'll touch briefly on a personal background on myself, where I'm from, and then I'll look into my college experience in the technology of University Dublin, or TUD, formerly DIT. I'll then talk about my experience on a summer internship with the Mercury Group in Frankfurt 2018. I'll then talk about my current workflow as a graduate mechanical engineer with the Airgrid Group. I'll then discuss my experience and my workflow with the SIGA organization, and then I'll conclude my presentation. So I'm 24 years old from Kildare Town, County Kildare. I'm currently a graduate mechanical engineer with the Airgrid Group. My speciality over the last few years has come in substation electrical installation and innovative renewable technologies, with a particular focus on the mechanical application of these technologies and how the consideration of mechanical loading and mechanical values can impact this area of the power system industry. So I'm currently also the chairperson of the Irish SIGRA Next Generation Network, which I'll talk about later on in my presentation. So to start then, I started off in college in September 2015. At the time it was DIT, but now it's TUD. And the course I completed, it was TU 822 for the Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering course. And this course takes in it's a common entry, so it means that you have your civil, mechanical and your electrical areas. And I always kind of wanted to become a mechanical engineer, but it was also good to get the focus in different areas. But certainly going into the course, mechanical engineering is what I wanted to do. And in particular, I wanted to look into the following areas which this course allowed me to do. The areas include the design and manufacturing, which I particularly loved, as I loved designing and I suppose a hands-on manufacturing exposure, which I really enjoyed. And also HVAC, which is heating, ventilation and air conditioning. And luckily, this course really allowed me to diversify and get exposure to each of these areas. So I suppose to best sum up my experience in college, it was best to talk about the projects I completed. So in first year in college, I completed a Robo-Sumo project in a group of 4. And this project entailed a robot which would go head to head with another robot from another team, similar to the concept of Robot Wars, but it was kind of a sumo battle that you had to push another robot off the table. I really enjoyed this as it was exposure into a different area that I was completely not experiencing at all, but also it allowed me to actually get on this hands-on experience of actually constructing a robot and get a flavor of the programming and the different areas that would need to be included in the project. And I really enjoyed that, really something completely different, and allowed me to adapt a new skill set as well, which was fantastic. In second year and part of third year, I completed a formless student project, which was the design of various applications or systems in a single-seater race car. So that was fantastic, and I had particular interest in motorsport from an early age, so this was fantastic. And to get a flavour of how a mechanical engineer can contribute to a design problem, such as designing a single-seater race car in terms of airflows and making the system as efficient as possible when it comes to aerodynamics. So that was really interesting for me, and I loved every second of it. In third year then, we looked into a space module project, which was basically the construction of a space module, a scaled space module, where it would go through different structural tests, but also a heating and ventilation test where it would be simulated to that there'd be no heat loss to the surrounding areas, and making sure that it was securely tight, airtight and things like that. That was fantastic as well, and it was something that I really enjoyed looking into in terms of the HVAC systems and the different assessments needed for that. But also it was a complete different area of the mechanical engineering, I suppose, area or workflow that I completely no experience with, but ultimately develop my knowledge and develop my experience. So that was fantastic. So then I'll move on to my college final year project. So this was probably the most fun I've had, the most fun I had in college. And this was basically a project I developed where it was a speed bump mechanism, which would be used to generate electricity through the vehicle, through a vehicle's motion passing across it. So the image here shows what it would look like in industry. So my project entailed the design, so the actual initial sketching of the design, the assessments, the mechanical testing, and the mechanical structural testing to make sure that the system can comply with the different loading on the application. Also the manufacturing, which was fantastic for me. As I said, I'd love constructing and actually getting my hands dirty, getting involved and getting constructing. And then ultimately the testing of the speed bump. So we pass across a sample bicycle motion, and generation or electricity is generated as a result. So the system here is what it would look like. So the black unit is the actual speed bump itself, and the red is the cable which would transfer the electricity back into the local area. And this would be done by the measurement unit shown in the yellow box. So this was really fantastic for me, as it allowed me to, I suppose, get exposure to a system that can generate electricity through a mechanical mechanism, but also dissipate out that electricity to the local infrastructure when needed. So I really enjoyed that area of the project. So to give a bit of perspective on the outcome of this final year project, and to give a bit of perspective into how a mechanical engineering project and course can be widely accepted in various areas of the industry and applicable to various areas of the industry. So it was awarded Best Final Year Project for the Bachelor of Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering courses back in 2019. It was published as an academic paper through Queen's University Belfast and the ITRN in August 2019. And the ITRN is predominantly a transport network, so a mechanical innovation project was celebrated and actually commended through an ITRN, which is not predominantly for mechanical engineers. It was awarded Best Institutional Project from Institution of Mechanical Engineers, or IMechE, in September 2019. It was also awarded Best Presentation at the SIGA Ireland Young Member Showcase 2019 and selected as an Irish representative at the Centennial session this year in Paris. So that was fantastic, as well as this is a project, again, mechanically driven, mechanically developed, but it was celebrated in a power system level, comes an area completely separate to the, I suppose, the more conventional mechanical engineering workflow. And that just shows that with a mechanical engineer skill set and application of knowledge, it can be commended and it can be applied in various different and celebrated in various areas of the industry. And it was recently internationally patent approved also. So now I'll just touch on my experience on a summer internship in 2018. So this 2018, I just finished my third year in college and was going into my final year. So I decided to go on a 3-month internship on a data center located in Frankfurt, Germany, with the Mercury Group. This was a fantastic experience. I couldn't but recommend an internship for any young professional out there, as you get exposure to various different areas and get meeting new people. But just to give a flavour of what I did, my daily duties included completion of daily mechanical applications such as fire suppression, cooling systems, on-site inspections, which was really fantastic to see the progress on-site on a daily basis, and also the commercial and scheduling, which is a key point, that it was fantastic to see what the day-to-day operation is and how everything is scheduled and how everything is commercially driven. So that was fantastic. So I suppose the learning outcomes of this experience, as I mentioned, I'd highly recommend it, as it would give any young engineer or any college student an idea of what a mechanical engineer actually does in real life. And exposure to on-site work was fantastic to see that and be on site and actually physically see what the changes are, how a design is implemented. Also, the fact that I was in Germany, I was interacting with various nationalities, which was a great experience for me and really developed my knowledge in an area of the industry, and also allowed me to develop competencies such as, I suppose, my presentation skills and communication skills, as you're talking to people who English isn't their native tongue, so you have to certainly convey ideas to a very high level, very high standard. So currently, as mentioned before, I'm on the graduate or just completed the Airgrid graduate program. And the Airgrid group is the Irish transmission system operator in Ireland. And what we do is we basically manage and operate the transmission system in Ireland, or the national grid. And in doing so, we ensure that everyone has power when and where they need it. So the map shown here on the right hand side is the transmission network in Ireland. So each circle and each line represents a station and a transmission line in Ireland. So this is how the electricity flows throughout the country and how it actually goes to everyone's doorstep ultimately. So a key work item of Airgrid is also to facilitate the connection of renewables onto our network to help reach Ireland's energy targets and to, I suppose, to pursue and to develop the decarbonisation of our power system to ensure that there's less fossil fuels being burned and less fossil fuels being utilised. So it's a fantastic company. It really, it's at the forefront of the tackle of climate change, and I'm really proud to be working with such a company. Also, it's working on various different projects such as the Celtic Interconnector and new interesting projects that are really at the forefront of tackling climate change. So just to go into a bit more detail on my work in the Airgrid group. Within the Air graduate program, you get 3 8-month rotations where you would be in 3 different companies or 3 different sections of the company. And ultimately you get exposure into various different areas of the company also. So in particular, I worked on the following. So I was a member of the current networks team. This is where we basically plan out where renewable connections are connected on the grid. So for example, just there on the top right hand side, you can see a schematic or a network drawn. This is basically a sample of how the testing, the power flow and short circuit studies are completed. And what we do is we basically say, okay, look, if this connection goes in, what are the implications? What are the resulting issues? And as a mechanical engineer, I really enjoyed this, as it was similar to a software that we use in college, but it was quite easily developed and quite easily a skill set that I developed in college was easily adapted here, and I really enjoyed it. Also then my second rotation was as a client engineer for the engineering asset management team. This was basically being on site and looking at the mechanical operation of a substation and infrastructure on a grid. And this would mean that you have your circuit breakers, your overhead lines, the key instruments used to actually transmit the electricity throughout our network. That was really cool, and a lot of on-site work, as I mentioned before, and actually physically see how the grid operates was a fantastic experience for me. So I'm currently an analyst for the market interface team and res auction space. So this is something, it's not predominantly a mechanical engineer's job, but I wanted to broaden my exposure, my experience within the company, and ultimately this was fantastic exposure to get. And also a key point of this is that even though it's not predominantly an engineer's or mechanical engineer's workflow, the skill set and the problem solving aspect of my degree and my experience to date helped me contribute to this team. So just to touch briefly on some of the daily tasks that I have. So the top left hand picture was when I was on site looking at a cable installation for a wind farm. And for example, this is fantastic because you're looking at the different loading values, you're looking at the different installation areas of this, and that was fantastic to see. So the bottom left and bottom right shows the infrastructure that's being proposed to be installed on the network. So the bottom left is an innovation solution, which goes back to what I love doing in terms of the proposal of innovation technologies. And a lot of my work is to look into the mechanical operation of this, to see how it operates. The bottom right then shows the commissioning of a substation in North County Dublin, and the different mechanical, again, you're looking at the mechanical properties, you're looking at the mechanical operation of how a substation works. And the top right hand side simply just shows a single line diagram or a electrical representation of what a system would look like, or a station would look like. So again, this was a very hard slide to draft up, as it kind of accumulates what I've learned in Airgrid so far. So it's such an important role in the integration of renewables, and as a mechanical engineer, you're contributing to that role, which is fantastic. Again, experience on topics outside my comfort zone, which is fantastic for my own development. and projects I've never expected. So I never would have thought I would have been involved with the market side of the business, but also the innovation projects, and both I contributed as being a mechanical engineer. So now I currently am heavily involved with the SEGRA organization, SEGRA NGN organization. So basically SEGRA is a worldwide organization where there facilitates the transfer or exchange of knowledge within our industry. And I'm the Irish representative on this map here. So I'm continually engaged with various different countries and trying to create a network for young professionals to learn more about the industry, and from a variety of different backgrounds, which is fantastic. So I was recently the Irish representative at the international session or international conference in Paris, although I did present for my room here in Kildare. It was a fantastic experience, and certainly as a mechanical engineer to a predominantly power system or electrically industry, I was able to contribute to a high level as a mechanical engineer, which is fantastic. So to conclude my presentation, hopefully I've conveyed the endless opportunities of a mechanical engineer in the industry, and hopefully I've conveyed that as a mechanical engineer you can contribute to a process and to contribute to a problem solving area. So that's a key item I hope I conveyed. So advantages of completing an industry internship: I'd highly recommend anyone get out there, just even if it's shadowing an engineer in industry, just to get a flavor of what it is like to walk in the day-to-day mechanical engineer, and continually try to network within the industry. So I couldn't but recommend this, as my experience with the SEGA organization and kind of shadowing engineers in the industry has also developed my knowledge, as you're understanding what people are working on, what interesting projects are getting involved, or people are getting involved with. So, and you're continually creating a bank of knowledge that you can rely on in the near future. And also the last point there, which is probably the most important, really try and get out of your comfort zone and never be afraid of looking into a different area of the industry. As a mechanical engineer, you certainly have a skill set that you can apply to different areas of the industry, as I mentioned before. So definitely push yourself to get out of your comfort zone, like me with the Airgrid group. So thank you very much for listening. My email is in the first slide there, so feel free to get in contact with any questions. And thank you to Engineers Ireland and to Micheál for letting me present. So thank you very much.